Hi teachers, it's Marcy. I'm going to do an exploration of some of the math tools that are in your Promethean software. The easiest way to get to those is in your toolbar right here. It looks like tools. And you have and it says Math Tools, which the grammar teacher in me is going to say fix. But you may not see it looking exactly like this yet until we get your update, but it still has the same things. So the first one I want to show you is the ruler. And the nice part about the ruler here is it's very easy to manipulate. So you can take your pen and you can grab a color. And you notice it kind of gives you the ability, you could come up here and draw a line, which I'm not good at drawing straight. But if you come in here along this edge and you drag, it helps you draw a straight line when you do it along the ruler. So you don't have to worry about the fact that, oops, I'm not so good at drawing a straight line. You can let the ruler help you do that. And then you can grab the ruler. When you see this crossbar, the little X, that's telling you that you can start to move your ruler all over the place, up, down, sideways. Then, as I drag, you notice I get a little curved piece. When I have the curved piece, that means I can make the ruler pivot and go up and down. And so depending on which side of the ruler I bring that arrow decides which end of the ruler pivots at that point. Now, of course, I'll have fun getting it in exactly the same spot, but you get the idea. It also does some things for us with degrees. So if we were trying to work with degrees with the kids, we could start to use those. These also have this little button in the middle, looks like a file folder again, kind of a property spot. You can decide whether you want your ruler to have millimeters, centimeters, inches, or none for both bottom and top. So those of you who are looking to compare the different kinds and show the kids the different things, you can do whatever it is you want with it. You also have the ability here to tell it to show the angle or not. It's also the place where you would close it when you're done with the ruler. So again, that middle little box, and I'm going to hit close. So that's one particular tool. Now I'm going to grab that line out. I'm going to come back to my math tools, and a set square I'm going to show you very briefly. Math teachers, you're going to have to forgive me because this looks way more complicated than what I would use most of the time probably. But I guess if I wanted to draw angles for my kids and things like that, I could do that. Because again, if I grab my pen, pick a color, if I come over anywhere else, I'm not very good at straight. It's as straight as I can draw. But if I come here up against it, it's going to help me to draw that straight line. So if I was trying to draw an angle to work with my kids, I might come and grab this. I wouldn't have rotated it first, but I would come and I would grab it, and I could rearrange some things to get it where I want it to make an angle. So I could come and I could do this, and I could rotate it and then drag it into place, and I could draw my angle. And then you can start fooling with things like the protractor, and I see that this also lets me use it as a protractor. Again, you have the middle box, but on this one the only thing it's going to do is close it. So I'm going to close it out, and I'm just going to redo that page to clear. For the protractor, just like the others that we've seen so far, you have a little settings tool in the middle that looks like a little file tab. When we come into that, you have a couple of choices. First, you can go full or half, so you can decide which look you want. You also have the middle three here that are deciding how your angle will be drawn. If you choose arc, which is the first one, you choose your pen and pick your color, and you can decide what point you want to start drawing your angle at. And as you drag it, the protractor will help you draw it. You don't have to do it in a perfectly curved line. It kind of helps you draw that angle. And so that would give you that particular mark. And again, you still can come to the edges and rotate things as needed. And in the middle, you get the four crossbar to be able to move things. And so I'm going to bring this back. If you go to the closed arc, again, grab your pen. I'll grab a different color. And we'll do from right here. And you see it gets a little dot. And when you do this, it closes in your angle. Again, I'll grab my crosshatch and move it. I'm going to grab my pen, grab a different color. I'm going to move it to a filled arc. and I'm going to choose where to start, and you'll see the little dot pop up, and as you drag, this one fills in your angle. And so you can have just the line, you can have it like that, or you can have it filled in. The other option you have is show angle, which would show the degrees of the angle when you start to use your protractor. And so you can put that on or off depending on what you're doing with your students. And just like the others, you always have the option to close. And when I close, I can just come in and delete out the pieces by clicking on them so they're selected, or I could just reset my page with the Reset Page button. One of the other math tools that we have, again, I'm coming back to Tools, and I'm coming to Math Tools, and you have something called the XY origin. And this little thing just looks like a spinny circle. But what it has to do with is how things move on your page. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab a shape to show you what I'm talking about. So I'll pick a triangle, and I'm going to come out and I'm going to draw my triangle. And just to make it a little bit easier to kind of see what's going on here, I'll grab a color and my fill tool, which looks like a bucket, and give it some color. When you take a shape and you click on it, you have this little rotation tool that lets me rotate, okay? And what it's going to do is it's going to rotate things around that XY origin point. So if I clicked this and came back here and brought this origin point to a certain spot on my picture, and then I keep my select tool, click on my object, it now rotates it around that particular point. And so it gives you a different way of moving your object. Now, the one thing you do need to know about the XY origin tool is that it's not one of those things that you can click on and make it disappear. To turn it off, you want to come back to your tools, into Math Tools, and usually it has a check mark. Today it's being a little weird about that, but you would click again on XY origin and it will disappear for you. So it's simply a way of deciding what point becomes your center of rotation. That could be useful for when you're doing things like flips and all those different things, and reflections and axes. So that would be the point where you would probably want to use this tool. One of the ones that's really popular, especially with little kids, is the dice roller. You can decide how many dice you want. You can decide how fast they go, and you can hit roll. You also have the ability to do this, output to flip chart. And what it does is it's going to take the total it got in the dice and put it out there. So could be you want to do 1 if you're doing a probability lesson, and you want to see how many times in 6 rolls you get something in particular. So if I keep hitting roll, 3, and we'll do 4, and we'll do output. What you're going to have here is stacked up, as I click and drag, it's going to move them. And I see all the possible responses I got. And then I could come and talk to the kids about probability and what did we get. This also can be used for various things depending on how many dice you're rolling and what you're doing with it. You don't have to output to flip chart. That's just one option. That's really nice when you're teaching probability. And the final one that falls into the Math Tools category here is calculator. And so I'm going to click on the calculator. And when I click on the calculator, it pops up and I'm able to come in and type on it. You can use your mouse to click on it. I can use, right now I'm using the keys on my keyboard, so either one works. If you hit this little arrow, it backs it up. At times I've seen them do a fancier calculator. The calculator has kind of changed over the different versions. Sometimes in the settings you can make it a scientific, and if that's something somebody needs, come see me and we'll get that setting set up for you. The other piece that's not hidden in there, but that does kind of go to math also, is up here under Insert. You have a tool called Equation. And when you click on that, you'll notice now I have this little piece that has the little pi symbol, and it's moving with my cursor. So when that's on and I click, and it's telling me, hold on, it's thinking about it, what it's supposed to do is open up a little browser, and there it is, called the Equation Editor. So if I were putting math problems into a flip chart that I did, I would be able to come in, and you notice you can pull up all these different signs. I won't lie, math teachers, most of these you know far more about than me. But I'm going to go with some nice simple math that you know I understand. So on my keyboard, I'm going to hit an 8, and I'm going to hit a space, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say plus, and I'm going to hit space, and I'm going to go 2, and I'm going to say equals. Now, at any point you can come and find different things. So I might choose to put a little box at the end. I might have to play with it to decide what size box I want at the end of it. It gets into all of these different symbols and functions and parts and pieces that you can use with it, and you're simply just typing in equations. Once I hit OK, it adds that equation. Notice I still have this little piece up, which means I can click somewhere else on my flip chart, and I could go in, and again, maybe this time I want to do 8, and I want to say that it is, I might want the kids to fill in the box with what it is. So I might say it's this, and I might say 2. And let's see, didn't grab my box in that one. Please notice that if you make a mistake, and I'd love to say I did that on purpose, but I didn't. If you make a mistake and you click on the equation in the flip chart, it brings you back into the editor. Now, it doesn't seem to like what I'm doing here, and let's see if maybe it prefers that one. Okay. I really wish I could get a better space in here, but it doesn't seem to be letting me do that. And I'm sure there's an important difference on those, and math teachers, you might know more than me. But then you can start playing with your equation editor. The one thing you have to remember about the equation editor, you need the arrow. The arrow is like your off tool. You're not going to get rid of that equation editor until you click there. Again, once I click on this, I can start dragging it and making it bigger, especially if I'm working with little kids. I can start making things bigger and smaller. The good news is once I made this bigger, it did look good. And those are the kind of things you just kind of play with as you go. It's not happy about me in the space bar, so I've learned that that's not going to work. So I might have to come and play in here to see if I could find a way I'm happier with. Math teachers, that maybe one box is a little taller than the other. I'm not real clear on the difference. But your equation editor lets you insert all kind of equations and build the pieces you need into your flip chart.